The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a must-read, see, watch, ogle, listen to series for any serious sci-fi fan. It was written by the late Douglas Adams and is a cult classic. In this show, we're going to look at its origins. We're going to see clips from the excellent BBC DVD, this, which I strongly recommend you buy, by the way, it's brilliant, and the film, and check out some little-known and interesting facts. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy appeared on Radio 4 in the United Kingdom at 10:30 p.m. on March the 8th, 1978. It was wholly written as a radio show and not an adaptation of any book. The first book was published in 1979 and based on the now cult radio series. There have been 4 more books, and the saga is laughingly referred to by Douglas Adams as a trilogy in 5 parts. Stage plays were produced in 1979 and continue in amateur formats even to this day. The television series first aired in the UK's BBC Channel 2 in January and February of 1981. It employed many of the actors from the radio series and was based primarily on the radio shows, not the books. An excellent computer came from Infocom appeared following the TV series in 1984, and between 1993 and 1996 DC Comics, in conjunction with Byron Press, produced 9 comics based on the first 3 books. Also in 1976 a series of collector's cards using artwork from the comics appeared. A new radio series of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy based on the 3rd, 4th and 5th novels was broadcast in 2004 and 2005 by the BBC on Radio 4. And the most recent release of the saga was the Disney Films movie production, released in 2005, starring Martin Freeman as Arthur and Mos Def as Ford Prefect. In short, this series, in one form or another, is over 25 years old, yet Hoopy Froods still enjoy the saga as much now as they did then. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a landmark in science fiction for one particular reason. It was the first successful attempt to combine comedy and science fiction. This is science fiction humour, and I'm not including authors like Robert Sheckley and Harry Harrison, because they produced humorous spoofs of the genre. They didn't write science fiction comedy. Before we actually start looking at the shows in more detail, let's consider the writer, Douglas Adams. Now, I'm not going to give you his life story. All I can say is that in his whole life he only ever wrote 7 books. 2 were based on radio scripts and 2 were based on Doctor Who stories. He was always late with deadlines, he was a huge technology advocate, and before his untimely death in 2001 at the age of only 49, he was clearly one of the funniest, loved and most respected science fiction geezers on Earth. Of course, it's all pretty famous as a saga now. Most science fiction fans have not only heard of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, they've probably read the book, they've almost certainly seen the film. Many have listened to the radio shows and watched the TV series. But let's go back now to 1978, when they were first rehearsing the radio series.
Listen, you stupid machine, it tastes filthy. Here, take this cup back.
If you have enjoyed the experience of this drink, why not share it with your friends?
Because I want to keep them.
You've got to remember that although the clip of the BBC radio production may have seemed a little amateurish, this radio show was the only radio show, either then or since, to be nominated for a World Hugo Science Fiction Award for dramatic presentation. No other radio show since has been nominated for such an award. In the end, in 1979, it lost out only to Superman, the movie. If you want to look at the series today, you need to buy them as audio CDs, known as phases. The primary and secondary phase comprised the first series, which was broadcast in 1978. This is by far the most famous and best. The tertiary, quandary and quintessential series were recorded in late 2003, but actual transmission was delayed while an agreement was reached with the Walt Disney Company over internet rebroadcasts. Disney had the film rights to the saga and had begun production of the film. There were different cast members, but the core team for the 3rd through 5th radio series remained the same, except for the replacement of Peter Jones by William Franklin as the Book and Richard Vernon by Richard Griffiths as Slarty Bardfast, since both of these terrific actors had regrettably since passed away.
You see, as many of you will have already realized, perhaps the main reason for the gigantic success of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on BBC Radio was the choice of actor to play the narrator. The BBC, quite naturally, wanted the very best, an actor who would bring to the part stature and respect. And I can tell you, I was absolutely thrilled when they came to me and said he wasn't available and would I like to play the part. Well, anyway, the radio show was an enormous success, and they made an LP of it. The BBC didn't. They, for some reason, chose not to. But this was a great success, and so was the paperback. In fact, it was top of the bestseller list for ages. And Douglas Adams went round all the W.H. Smiths all over the country signing copies of it. And in fact, they've got to the interesting situation now where he signed so many that an unsigned copy by Douglas Adams is worth more than one he signed.
In these series, there were some guest appearances from people like Joanna Lumley, Jackie Mason, Sir Patrick Moore, and even Christian Slater as Wonko the Sane. Douglas Adams himself played the role of Agrajag, a performance adapted from his book on tape reading of the fourth novel and edited into the series sometime after his death. By the way, the ending to the radio series is different from the book. The BBC, I guess, decided that they wanted to be a little bit more upbeat, so it's different. Most die-hard fans would nominate the radio shows as being the definitive, quintessential Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But the saga's popularity in all its forms has meant that it transcends the original radio show and now means different things to different people. After the radio show, the saga was produced on stage in 1979 at the London Institute of Contemporary Arts. I'd love to have pictures or stills of this because the production, by all accounts, was as wacky as the story. Ken Campbell, a popular and innovative director and actor, thought that since this was a strange, offbeat sort of show, that they should change the way people should watch it. Instead of the audience passively sitting and watching actors move around the stage, the audience was sat on huge hovercrafts which moved around the actors, who were on plinths and pedestals. The whole thing was crazy and ultimately unsustainable. You could only ever get 80 people watching the show at any one time. It immediately moved into cult. It is widely regarded as one of the wackiest and craziest science fiction shows ever produced, and everybody who's ever been a fan of the series or the saga desperately wanted to actually see it. But unfortunately, at 80 people a showing, that was unlikely. The second production at London's Rainbow Theatre was an unmitigated disaster, and after it deservedly closed, and when the producers ran off owing the cast and crew money, it seemed that the idea of Hitchhiker's Guide Spectacular would never see the light of day. One of the best sketches, though, written into the stage production, but not into the radio series, was the Dish of the Day sketch at Milliways. This would later be used in the TV series. With the sale of the film rights to Disney Studios, in fact to a whole load of other film production companies over the years, it generally tended to put a dampener on stage productions because of the negotiations for various rights and so on. There have, however, nevertheless been a whole range of amateur productions. Some have had great reviews, others, like the Arena Theatre Company of Dorset, England's long-threatened musical version, which had a cast breaking into 1960s songs like Don't They Know It's the End of the World, were allegedly awful.